He was horrified to discover that the man across the street was planning to kill his wife because the man had quietly prepared a knife and a saw right after the couple's heated argument. Paul had a feeling that something big was going to happen, so he had been spying on the man all along. But because his left leg was seriously injured, his body was too tired and he fell asleep during the spying. When he woke up in the middle of the night, it was raining heavily. The man wore a raincoat, carrying a large suitcase, and rushed out the door. Paul looked at the time. It was 2 o'clock in the middle of the night. He wondered what the man was doing out so late, but in a few moments, he was back. But he did not stay in the house for long, and then went out with a suitcase. Paul had a bad feeling in his heart. He was strong spirit, has been closely watching the man's every move, and found that he took the box back and forth a total of 3 times, before completely stopped moving. Paul was tired, and fell asleep again. When he woke up again, he saw the man with a rope into the door, but also his wife's clothes all stuffed into the box, with the rope to the tightly bound. The most important thing is that since then, Paul has never seen the man's wife. He was now certain that the man had killed his wife and transported her body out of the house. Paul told his girlfriend, who came to visit, what he thought, but she said he was overthinking it. It is possible that his wife was traveling. Paul just wanted to refute. The window suddenly came a scream. The two rushed to open the curtains, found a small dog died in the yard. A woman went up to check, said the dog seems to have been strangled to death. Paul then also suddenly remembered that the puppy 2 days ago had been digging next to the flower bush. Could it be that the man buried something in it, afraid of being dug out by the puppy, so he strangled it to death? At this time, Paul was surprised to find that all the residents all stretched their necks to check the situation. Only the man hiding in the dark house do not know what to think. At this moment, the girlfriend was also aroused curiosity. She learned from Paul's mouth everything. Also feel that this matter is not simple. The two discussed whether to call the police, but they do not have any evidence, just rely on speculation and reasoning. The police will hardly be accepted. Suddenly Paul remembered a man, immediately called him. A few moments later, the man arrived. This person is a lieutenant, is Paul's good friend. After listening to the two men, he decided to help them investigate. The two men waited in the house all afternoon before the lieutenant had an answer. According to his investigation, the man's wife had been sent to the countryside 3 days ago to get better. Many of the residents here saw it with their own eyes. When Paul heard that it was 3 days ago, he wondered why he had to carry his suitcase out so many times at night when he obviously had something to do the next day. For this, the lieutenant explained that it might be because the man was a salesman and carrying the suitcase at night was going out to sell jewelry, because there were many important occasions that were held at night. Paul just found this explanation ridiculous and asked the lieutenant again, what about the knife and saw in his house? But the lieutenant smiled faintly. These things will be in anyone's home. Perhaps he wanted to make a temporary furniture. Paul wanted to ask more questions, but the lieutenant told him before saying goodbye, the man's wife has arrived in the countryside, and also wrote a letter to the man. All of this was just Paul's idle imagination. With that, the lieutenant pushed the door open and walked out. They hoped they were imagining things, but at night they realized that something was wrong with the man, because he had a lot of clothes for himself and obviously wanted to move out of here as soon as possible. The most important thing is that he also took his wife's handbag, which contains a lot of expensive jewelry, and even his wife's wedding ring. As soon as she saw this, his girlfriend's heart thumped. She felt that this is also too abnormal. A woman out of town actually will not wear jewelry to board the bag, but also specifically to take down the wedding ring. The suspicion of the two has now reached its peak. In order to confirm the suspicion in their hearts, they decided to test the man. Paul wrote down on a piece of paper what you did to her in the end. Then he had his girlfriend deliver it. After seeing the man with the letter, Paul immediately used binoculars to watch the man's face. He looked very panicked and looked around to see who had sent the letter. Luckily, his girlfriend reacted quickly and hid in the corner, so that the man did not find out. After this incident, the man accelerated the speed of his hands, as if he was going to move out of here tonight. Paul knew they couldn't wait any longer.